What is up, everybody? And I am your host, disappointed to be the sibling of the person sitting next to me.
Just tonight.
Just welcome to another episode of Sibling Rival-Read, the comic book club show that my sister and I do every week, where we sit down, read a comic book, or rather a set of books, a collection, a trade, a group, a chapter of comic books, and try to find ones that are newcomer friendly,
Indeed.
and talk about them for an hour. Because somehow we find an hour's worth of things to talk about for every comic book. Almost every comic book. Umbrella Academy, we won't talk about how we were.
That one doesn't count.
Not smart enough to talk about that one for an hour. But anyways, I'm Ben Pye, your host. With me is my sister, Anna.
Kin. Funny.
Yeah, you know what we really missed out on doing? A Star Wars comic on Star Wars Day.
I know. But I mean, technically, it wouldn't have been filmed on Star Wars Day
Yeah,
anyway.
but we could have done like an extra, one-off episode.
Well, then, you didn't think of
No,
it,
I
did
didn't.
you?
I did not. This is accurate. Anyways, this week instead, we read my pick. The New Teen Titans, The Judas Contract. Now, this was one that I had done a lot of research on, I wasn't sure what I wanted to read, and I kept thinking, I kind of do want to read a Teen Titans book. And I wanted to pick something a little older as well.
I like older comics, personally, a lot.
And they're definitely different than what we get in comics now, which I think is good in some ways and kind of awkward in others.
Like the dated puns.
Oh my god. Anyways, but no, I really enjoy. I really wanted to find a book that would be an interesting story and still one that obviously was accessible, like we do on this show.
Or try to do, like my picks have not always been accessible.
And after doing a lot of research on Teen Titans books to read, the one that kept popping up over and over and over again was the New Teen Titans, the Judas Contract. And part of why I chose it was that it was supposedly slightly darker and a little more dramatic instead of campy, which I do think there were aspects of.
I didn't find it super dark.
I didn't find it super dark throughout, but the ending was dark. So the new Teen Titans.
Try again.
The New Teen Titans. At this point in time, the members are Robin, Flash, Nightwing, Flash Dick Grayson, Starfire, Coriander.
I know, I kept laughing every time I read her full name.
Cyborg.
I'm used to her just being Corey, and so I was like, Coriander.
Yeah.
An alien is named after seasoning.
Beast Boy, or no, they call him Changeling.
At this point.
Logan Gar. Raven, otherwise known as Raven.
I'm sure it's Logan, or it's Garfield. His first name.
Nope, and this is Logan. They kept calling him Logan, so I'm going to assume.
Yeah, but they also kept calling Robin Short Pants.
Okay, but Short Pants is like a direct reference to someone.
And they also kept calling Vic either Vic or Stone.
Logan Gar.
Logan. Garfield Logan. Not Logan Gar, sir.
Logan Gar.
I'm correct. You are wrong.
Logan Gar. Logan Gar.
We Googled it, and I am right, and he is wrong.
Nope. There's no evidence of that. No evidence that I did that. Rachel Roth. Interesting. Trying to figure out what Raven's name was.
Anyway, Changeling. You were listing all the characters.
Yes. Wonder Girl, a.k.a.
Donna Troy.
Donna Troy. I kept wanting to say Diana, and I knew that was wrong.
Would have been.
Donna Troy. And Tara, otherwise known as Tara Markov. Like, really, they really took a huge step coming up with her superhero name.
And Raven. He didn't actually list Raven, but Raven.
I did. And then you interrupted me and said that I think his name is Garfield.
Well, I was right anyway.
Yeah.
Interruption or not. Sorry.
But
yeah, no, I felt the same way about coming up with a superhero name. I was like, literally just changed the lettering of her actual name.
Yeah. But that's okay. She's kind of she was not a good guy.
It's true.
There were no redeeming qualities about her. And there were no redeeming qualities about her ever.
No. Oh, I felt so bad for Garfield.
Yeah. So first thing I do want to bring up, just before I forget it, because it is something that when it happened, I was dying. I was laughing so hard.
You need to change it to one page view.
I was laughing so hard at this stupid pun. Or not even pun. It was just like, I can't believe that they did this. Oh my god, please.
I really want to know which one it is.
How cool was the art during the Brother Blood stuff, though?
I kind of laughed, though, at his costume.
Yeah. This?
Yeah.
He looks like a bird.
That's not at all what you looked like when I met you.
Yeah. No. Same. But you could say that about a lot of costumes.
That's true, but I mean, I knew what the Teen Titans looked like originally.
Here it is.
What?
Freaking Garfield Logan down here as a dog looking up Starfire's skirt. And I mean, this wasn't the only moment throughout the book that was like
pervy.
Wow.
It's just old.
I know.
You gotta keep that in mind.
But
it was funny.
it was funny.
I mean, I did not laugh out loud. I kind of rolled my eyes more so, but I understand.
Yeah, no,
why
I did too.
Laugh out loud.
But it's like it's like, wow, I can't believe. Could you imagine if a comic book did that today?
I don't know, honestly.
I mean, with that I feel like would cross a line.
Probably.
For a lot of people. For a comic book that is teen rated.
Yes.
Because this isn't like a 17 or like even like a 15 plus. This is still a 12 plus book.
Yeah. I mean, it was also kind of, though, funny and in a way of addressing like male teenagers, because he's the youngest member and he was the one with all of the like obscene comments. Yeah. Thank you.
And then the other thing that I just want to talk about is Starfire's hair.
Yeah, but I've never liked Starfire's hair.
Even in like current stuff? I guess her hair is always ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what makes Starfire part of what makes Starfire. But
that's
it's like
with all the comments on her body, I'm pretty sure her figure is what makes Starfire for most people.
but it is a big part.
No, I know. I was just more so adding to the comment on like
Yeah.
the sexist remark. I was building.
Yeah. And then what? Oh, there was another comment that was like it further in here. Here, not here. I mean, close to here. But yeah, here.
When he was like, take it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. Wow.
However, Tara does dish out just as much as Garfield in terms of the
Sexist comments?
Yeah.
Well,
not as much, but I mean, she does.
It's not sexist. It's demeaning.
Derogatory?
It's not derogatory. I mean, whatever.
I would still.
We know
sexist.
Demeaning.
Yeah, or demeaning. With the whole strip down.
Yeah.
All of it for Robin.
Exactly. And can we also just talk about so the book is really interesting because they introduce this new character Tara, I guess about a year before this came out.
There was a lot apparently of build up. Just based on the forward reading, the little.
So if you read the same version that we read at the beginning of the book, there was a forward by both the main writer and the artist, since they worked together on coming up with the story. And there was a lot of build up to what they wanted Tara to be and what they wanted Tara to do. And a lot of it stemmed from people saying that the new Teen Titans was just an Xbox, X-Men knockoff, which, I mean, maybe at the time, I think I'd almost like to read like the first 5 issues of this and the first 5 issues of X-Men at the time, because this was because I guess Chris Claremont was like revamping the X-Men at this time.
Which, I mean, he too, in the forward it was said that like he also spoke out and was like, it's really not.
Yeah. And around the time that Tara was introduced, a new character was introduced to the X-Men as well.
My favorite.
And that was Kitty Pryde. Which if you know anything about the X-Men, Tara Markov is not Kitty Pryde. Like,
I mean, Kitty had her moments where you were like, but I mean, I don't think that happened anywhere near the beginning of her introduction.
Mm-mm. Well, and she was created. Tara was created to be the antithesis of Kitty Pryde. And there was a lot of deception and lying with Tara's character, and it was pretty much like nonstop. Where, you know, she was doing all of these really just kind of bad, nasty things while she was a Teen Titan. And a lot of readers were coming to her defense as like, oh no, she's going to have a big redemption arc and all of that. And
did she?
And then it culminates in this, where she is insane.
She is crazy.
Like, absolutely insane in this.
I'm a little sad that you don't get to know, like, that the explanation for her being insane is that she's literally just insane. That there's absolutely no reason for it. I was kind of like, really? So I would have liked, which, given we only read the Judas contract, so maybe you learn more about her family through, what's her brother's name?
I forgot.
Something Force? Geoforce?
Geoforce. Yeah.
So I mean, maybe you get to know more in the year lead up.
Yeah, maybe.
To her family story.
Maybe. But yeah, she's
insane.
Certifiably.
Kind of like Batgirl's brother.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Uh-huh. And like, she's 16.
Yeah.
And she's 16 and has a thing for...
Has a thing with, not even a thing for.
Well, it doesn't seem reciprocated.
No. At the very, very end, when she's yelling at him, she literally says, "It's not even because you and I are doing it," and will not. In
I don't
those
think she said
words.
that.
I said not in those
I
words.
don't think even in other words.
Yes, she
that was
did.
said.
I read it this morning. You read it last night.
I read the last chapter again tonight.
It happened.
Towards the end here.
Yes, towards the end. I'm going to prove him wrong again. Just like Garfield.
Okay, where was it?
She was saying the only reason that we're not, or that I teamed up with you and it wasn't, go back. It was that one. Go back. And it wasn't because we were lovers.
Oh, wow.
Heh, heh, heh. My obnoxious know-it-all self is coming out. I was right.
16.
I know, 16, and he's graying with children older than her.
That is
creepy?
Statutory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
which I mean, like,
so you can't tell me that it's not a little bit dark when this is a book that literally has statutory rape in it.
Okay, yes, but you didn't even remember that. And it's the one-liner, and the entire time, like, leading up to it, I kind of just thought she was a teenager with a crush on her mentor. With the whole honey thing and whatever, and you're like, okay, you're really troubled. It's okay. And then, you get to the end of it.
No, it's not okay.
Well,
no,
yeah.
I know. But you get to the end, and you're like, oh,
no.
Oh, no.
I know, I read that, and I go,
This is...
yes. Okay.
This is not great. Not that. I did the wrong thing.
He's playing with the camera settings. But
hopefully that'll fix the
the focus thing.
Won't. There we go. That should fix it.
Okay.
Maybe.
That's fine.
But and not only do we have our wonderful friend Statutory Rape in this book, but we also have our other friend, Death of a Minor.
Death?
And it was heartbreaking. Like, just like Garfield's reaction to everything.
Garfield's reaction to everything was heartbreaking. Which, honestly, after reading this and seeing how the end plays out, especially with Garfield and his relationship with Tara, or what he believes to be his relationship with Tara, even when you just look back at the cover gets me 10 times over having read it.
Mm-hmm.
With Cyborg holding back Garfield, I'm like, oh, my heart.
It is so sad, and like by the end of it, it's like, yeah, you really, Marv Wolfman and George Perez did an incredibly good job at making you hate Tara.
Yes. However, I will say in the foreword, they talk about how, like, Tara was never had any redeeming qualities throughout this entire thing, and never even alluded to the fact that she could become a good guy. And I disagree. She did allude to the possibilities of being a good guy, with, like, her astonishment with them saving her over and over and helping her over and over. She was like, I wouldn't do the same thing. Maybe I would do the same thing. So I do disagree with that forward where he was like, they all just wanted to believe she could be good, but I didn't allude to her ever being good. I was like, okay, I disagree with that, but I do like how they did her character.
I think it also depends on how you read it. Like, I wouldn't have saved me. Maybe I would have.
Yeah.
Like, not as a, oh yeah, maybe I actually would have saved you, but as a, oh, I said that out loud. Maybe I would have saved you. Like, that's how I read it.
Okay.
And it took me like 3 times reading the word maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, the slang that they used for the accents got me real bad.
Yep. And there was like a random point where I think Deathstroke did a lot of mibis.
Yeah, he did.
Except for one towards the end where he said maybe.
Okay, but you catch that, but you don't catch the statutory rape.
Yeah, I guess so.
Grammar.
But I really loved kind of picking this up and getting a throwback to what comics like used to be, though.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the writing style, the panel style, all of that, it was like
It was a good classic take. It wasn't like, oh my god, I'm reading something ancient.
right. It was enjoyable to read, and the story I felt was gripping enough to keep me going through it.
Mm-hmm.
And the language and the storytelling of it was matched the art.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like for how the story was told and how kind of campy some of the dialogue was.
Yeah. I do want to ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Jericho, prior to this comic, did you know about his character? I did not.
I did.
You did?
Yeah. He shows up. He shows up in obviously another DC comic that I read. I just don't remember what.
Did not know his character. I do though. I like all of the comics with Deathstroke or Terminator or.
Yeah, it was kind of.
I like his interactions every single time with Dick Grayson.
Yeah, he is, because there's a level of respect.
There is, and it's kind of like
shown between the two.
There's a kid that can best me. And he's like,
yeah,
and I really enjoy that.
And
Dick Grayson's the best.
Dick Grayson's awesome, and I did not do this on purpose, but I did not realize that this comic was
Nightwing's coming out.
The birth of Nightwing,
which just earned brownie points from me.
Like, and it was interesting, and I liked that part of the story, as like the prologue to Judas Contract, of being like, I'm stepping. Like I've always known the story of why he
steps down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although again, reading the foreword, I was kind of like shocked that they weren't excited to change Dick Grayson from Robin to Nightwing.
They weren't excited about they weren't excited about the name Nightwing. That is what the foreword said. They didn't say anything about not being excited about him stepping down as Batman's sidekick. But him wanting
that was a big build-up. It's not like it was boom, I'm no longer Robin.
Yeah.
So it was like, what?
And I thought it was well done. I liked his whole speech, and Corey's whole freak out that he was leaving.
Yeah. Everyone was freaking out.
Because Kid Flash had just left as well.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know that was happening either.
I didn't know. I mean, I knew that it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know, though, that he felt out of the team when everything that I've read otherwise with Wally, he's like such an integral part and like super close with Dick Grayson's character. And
I think
Superman,
there's something
which I mean, those are JLA people, not Teen Titans. So I guess the only Teen Titan that I remember him interacting with is Grayson.
Right. And I think that might also have a little bit to do with what, like, previous to this book.
Mm-hmm.
I almost like, this is one of those books where it's like I almost want to go back and read through more of Tara being in the Teen Titans and read through like why Wally leaves.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, there was something between him and Raven.
Yeah, which I had never read before.
Me neither. But it was interesting. Raven looked weird.
She did, but I knew she would.
Yeah, and
she looked bird-like, which I mean.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've seen Raven in older comics.
Her character design changes are awesome.
Yeah.
Every single time you see her reimagined, she looks awesome.
What's like one of my favorites
is the newest one?
Or
not newest one, because
right.
The newest one was with Damian, but New 52.
New 52 Raven.
Yeah.
Looks so cool. Like, just absolutely sick. Like, look at this.
They can't see it, but yeah.
Yeah, they can kind of see it.
They
can see enough of it to,
okay.
Like, it's the same on both sides, guys. Like,
it's symmetrical.
Yeah. But so cool.
Yeah.
Like, and that's one where I would almost love to sit down, and it makes me want to like sit down with you and pick a hero like every once in a while and go through all of their costumes. Like,
I mean, their costumes are some of my favorite parts for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But which I mean was why also this one I was like, guys.
This was the thing, man.
I know it was, but I mean, Starfire's costume gets me, but I've always known that it has been this. Cyborg's costume gets me every single time because, like, in the newer ones, he's all robot, and in here they're like, nah, we got to keep those thighs.
Just the thighs.
Just the thighs. If all of the men are gonna show their legs, we got to keep it with Cyborg too.
Yep. Do they explain? So I didn't really ever follow the Teen Titans much. Do they explain like why that happens? Like, does just more robot take over as he ages?
As far as I thought, they just rebooted.
Okay, I mean,
Titans.
Yeah, I mean they did, but
I don't remember his costume changing.
Okay.
But I've also only usually read either this old stuff or the newer. So I don't.
Nothing in between.
No.
Fair enough. But story-wise, I really enjoyed this story because it was almost Tower of Babel for the Justice League, but with the Titans.
I enjoyed the story. We'll say the first 2 issues threw me off.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what?
Well, the funny thing was, so I finished the book last night, and at the end of the evening, I started watching the animated version of this that came out, and it is so different.
Well, I came in and I saw the movie, and there's Damian on the screen.
Yep,
and I'm
Damian
like,
Wayne, guys, Damian Wayne.
Are you watching like Titans Academy?
Nope.
Which is the only one that I'm like, okay, I can see how some people would relate it to the X-Men.
Right.
Which is off topic, sorry, but
okay. But yeah, like Brother Blood was the villain for the whole thing. But like Brother Blood was the leader of the Hive. I guess we never saw the leader of the Hive here,
you don't. So maybe it was Brother Blood.
Maybe. And they were all robed figures, so
yeah. And I mean, like, Mother Mayhem was like smiling and like, ah ha ha, this was all part of our plan anyway. So very possible.
Yeah.
That maybe that's why the beginning of that was integrated. So you're like, when you continue reading from that point on, it links the two better.
Queen Bee, that's right.
And the old one too?
Oh, I guess leaders have been Adeline Kane, Queen Bee, Brother Blood. The way it was,
it looked like
in the preview version of it, it looked weird. Interesting.
Ooh. Her old character design is fun with the costume. Like her now, but
interesting.
Anyway.
Yeah. So it was very different. I mean, they chickened out and made Tara a good guy in the end. She still dies.
Like Teen Titans, the animated TV show where they made Tara a good guy in the end and still dies, encapsulated in rock.
Oh, I don't remember her in the.
There was like an entire season of her as like the main.
I don't remember her at all.
Wow.
In the Teen Titans cartoon.
Yeah, and she actually really liked Beast Boy, and Beast Boy got to her, and so she like. Attempt to save everybody, destroys everything around her and becomes encapsulated in rock, and Beast Boy is convinced that she's still alive inside it, and like...
Yeah, same thing happened. I mean, same kind of thing happens in Judas Contract, the movie. Except there is no doubt because they unearth her body and
like
it is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like this actually. But
her funeral was really sad.
It was
because like the little moment with her half brother, I was like, oh,
you're not gonna actually tell. I mean,
which I was like, good for you. I wouldn't have told them.
I don't
know if I would have like.
I don't know what
enjoyed burying her as a hero in the way that they did.
I think that's the part that I struggle with, like how
wrote on her tombstone like a Teen Titans member and like had this entire bust of her, like tone it down a bit because she did try to kill you all.
Yeah.
Totally get it. 16-year-old, very troubled. And she died.
Yeah, but I don't know. I want to know if you were a complete and total
asshole.
Yeah.
Well, would you? Because I mean, you wouldn't really know me at that point.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, here lies Tara, a teen titan. May she rest in peace. What I did really like about this book also is like it wasn't an origin story for anyone.
Lies.
It wasn't an origin story for Deathstroke.
Jericho.
I guess it was an origin story for Jericho. But like at the very end. I'll give you that, fine. But I really enjoyed the full like Deathstroke backstory.
Me too. I did though laugh at Nightwing going, you just told me this long ass story and you know where he is. Why are we wasting time with this backstory? I did laugh at that.
Yeah.
But I did like the backstory. I like Wintergreen.
Yeah, his friend.
Yeah. I would have liked like that backstory with him was probably one of my favorites because I was very interested in like who the hell are you? Are you?
Uh-huh. I will say like I just had like the biggest brain fart ever.
Well, we were talking about Wintergreen. We were talking about Deathstroke's backstory.
Yeah, it had to do with Wintergreen. I just don't remember what.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we both drank too fast.
I'm more of a lightweight than you.
Yeah, well.
And I mean, I have the excuse that I chose not to eat solid foods today.
Oh, okay. God, what was I going to say?
I did the like Wintergreen's like heart to heart with Adeline.
Mm-hmm. I did too. I
and her character was awesome.
Yeah, her character was cool. Apparently, I guess she becomes the next leader of Hive, though. By the way.
Okay, well that's less awesome.
But so is her story and like why she's doing what she's doing and all of that. It's very like like I'm doing this for my kid.
It was also really interesting with the backstory, just touching on the backstory with hearing that Deathstroke's goals as a mercenary is never to harm his own home country.
Yeah.
Which I think
real patriot.
I know, but I'm saying like within his own twisted way, if you look back on the rest of his comics, he really doesn't try or take contracts that would hurt
the U.S. or her interests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's even said that he doesn't usually attack superheroes. He doesn't usually contract out superhero kills.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that I kept kind of forgetting while I was reading is that this book came out in 1980.
Yes.
And they kept talking about like the Vietnam War and all of that.
I know. I was like, wow, everyone's really old.
Wow,
but you guys look all young.
Like, how is Wintergreen still alive? He's like white haired, and then I'm like, I'm stupid. He's like, at this point, he's probably 80. Like, and then he also talks about how he fought in World War II, and it's like, yeah, I guess that was only 20 years before.
I know. No, I thought the same thing. I was like,
Not
how
20
is
years.
everyone still alive?
But yeah, and then I remembered, right, this is
Old.
this is an old comic book. But yeah, I thought Deathstroke's like backstory in it was really neat and enjoyable. I just love the colors that are used in like old comics.
I like that they look screen printed.
Yes,
or like block printed.
Uh-huh.
One of my favorite things, even when the coloring doesn't line up exactly with the line drawing. I think that's one of my favorite things about older comics, is that it really looks piece by piece by piece, which I think has a really homey quality to it.
They really kind of did her dirty and gave her just this long panel here.
I didn't like, honestly, I do feel bad, and like I did feel for Beast Boy, and like her death was terrible, but I will say that I didn't think the illustration of her death was as well done as it could have been, with like just the rocks continuously coming down on the panel and her being so far away. Mm-hmm. It didn't actually look like she was getting covered by the rocks. Well, and more so than she was caving in her surroundings.
I also didn't understand how this happened. Like she was just crazy and accidentally killed herself?
She let her anger consume her and just lost it.
I see.
So kind of like how she lost her shit on Beast Boy during that practice run, but she didn't have one specific target. She wanted to kill everyone around her, and by going that big, it got that small.
Gotcha.
Killed her.
Like there was like a part of me that was like, did Jericho take over her for a second? Like, but it's like then that didn't make sense. Like Jericho wouldn't just kill someone like that.
I really enjoyed Jericho's character, especially that he used sign language. Like,
yeah, he was mute. But yeah, it's like. And then I kept going back, like, because they played the eye thing so much that I was like, oh, maybe that is what happened. But then it's like I look at it, it's like, I mean, but there's no
no, that really
why...
just made her lose her shit.
Yeah, I gather.
She really hated Beast Boy.
I mean,
I think she hated Beast Boy so much because he liked her so much.
Yeah.
Which was even more
which
painful.
Is so sad for poor Beast Boy, man.
It's okay. I'm a Beast Boy and Raven shipper, so. It's fine.
But it's still sad.
No. It really was, and I do think that, especially with the context, like I think she hated him so much because he liked her so much.
Yeah,
it makes it even worse. Right? She just really doesn't know what to do with positive emotions.
And she had some buck teeth, man.
She did. She really did.
Like some chompers.
Like,
you do not want to get bit by her.
Oh man.
But yeah, I enjoyed and
I liked seeing her powers, especially her powers through Slade's point of view.
When they were trading.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it, because I mean his kind of double take with like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Put it into perspective how strong she was.
I also really liked oh my gosh. The whole Dick Grayson going full on detective.
Yeah, and I really liked everybody's interpretation of Dick Grayson's character. So I mean, before that you have Slade going, how the hell did the one without superpowers get away from me, type of a thing, or of course he did, to Adeline being like, wow, he's super impressive. Like, go him type of a thing. And I was like, oh, that's my boy. If you can't tell, he's my favorite superhero.
I couldn't. I don't think you've really made that clear.
I love him so much.
Um,
Also, this put in perspective again to me how old this comic is with the typewriter.
Oh, with the typewriter?
I was like, what are you doing with that? And I was like, oh.
And he's hunting and pecking.
That and the telegram.
Yeah, the telegram.
The telegram was like, how old really is this?
Can we also talk about how really Slade's character, Deathstroke's character design, has not changed much at all?
It really hasn't. The only time that I think I saw like quote unquote drastic change was in that flashback where it looked more tribal.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I think that was meant to like just scare the who is this? Like that's Corey, but who's that?
His mom?
His mom was not pretty.
Bad angle.
I completely forgot that Deathstroke used to be referred to as
Terminator.
Terminator.
Every time they said Terminator, I was like, "You're wrong." But I mean, the thing is, because he's simultaneously called both names.
No, I know.
So I was like, "Why are you doing that?"
I think at this point is when they started potentially, because like when did the Terminator movie come out? It came out in the 80s, didn't it?
I don't know.
This might have been the point in time where it was like, okay, we have to differentiate the Terminator and Deathstroke. So 1984. So yeah. And this book was 85. I think. I'll have to look it up. I'm pretty sure it's 85 or 84.
I mean, if you go to Tara's
it was 1984.
It's gonna be, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it would make sense that this was about the time that they would have needed to change Slade's name.
I like Deathstroke better.
I do too. But that's because
it's more superhero-y than Terminator.
Well, we're also younger.
Yeah.
So when we think the Terminator, the first thing that's going to pop into our head is Arnold.
True. Although you could totally see him in a costume like this, just talking, and you'd be like,
yeah. Come on, kid. Don't play dumb. Yeah. Definitely see Arnold playing Deathstroke, too.
Not that I think it would be a good choice.
No, but I could see him. I could see him playing that role. But yeah, and just like Dick just like really not wanting to admit that Tara is the bad guy here.
I know, which I mean was kind of I was iffy about that whole moment because I was like, you just had this entire amazing build up to how great of a detective you are, and now you're not gonna like acknowledge the fact that your teammate betrayed you.
Well, the funny thing is, like, in his thought bubbles, he's saying,
yeah,
I believe it, but then out loud he's saying, no, you're wrong. It's like, dude, just like...
Yeah. It also, though, is one of those things that it didn't actually hit me until later, I don't think until the last part, that Tara had been on the team for over a year in the comic book world. So, like,
yeah,
a year's worth of issues.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, okay, I guess. And this reminded me of Peter Pan.
What? Oh, yeah.
With Corey getting a gift from Dick and it exploding was totally Peter Pan with Wendy's gift from Captain Hook that had the ticking, and I was like,
But this was the other thing that I really liked about Dick going through everything.
With the flashbacks.
That's how they decided to tell the story. Rather than going to each one and being like, they had Dick be the last one that Deathstroke went for.
And he pieced together all of the details, which was awesome.
Yeah.
I think the one that like freaks me out the most as like oh my god, that could totally happen, where I could totally see that happening. Outside was the chemical one and
Yeah.
which also might be because you went in photo, so like a more accessible thought to me.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it was really cool. I really liked it. In general, like, again, I liked going back in time a little bit here.
I really like older comics. The only thing that saddens me about older comics is the lack of adventure in the art. Not that I think the art in older comics is bad. I just think that newer comics take much more risks.
Yeah.
So I enjoy looking at that. So that's why in my comic book collection, like my personal comic book collection, you'll either find like really old ones for the storyline or really, really new ones only picked for the artwork, which you make fun of me for sometimes. When I like pick a comic, you're like, you literally just picked that up because of the artwork. And I'm like, yes.
No, I make fun of you for picking it up because of the cover.
But I look through it beforehand, before I buy it, to know that the artwork inside is just as good as the cover.
Yeah. But you know, it was still enjoyable. I do agree. Like, you can pick up almost any comic book of this time period and
see about the same thing.
Artistically.
But it's really fun to look at the art back then.
And it's really fun to look at how they draw certain things.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite panel?
I think
I hated this trench coat moment. I will say that.
Oh, really?
I did, because I was like, it's corny, and it just kind of makes you look like a wannabe Batman in green, and that's not your character.
I can't say that I had a favorite panel. I don't know that I really sat down and took time to think about what my favorite panel was.
I didn't, but I will say that there was one page worth of art where I was like, that is a super cool way to illustrate this. And it was all the way at the beginning when they're getting electrocuted in the trap. Okay. It was an all yellow panel and the line work was done in orange.
Yes.
And that is all you saw.
I do recall that. Yeah.
And I thought that was a really interesting and cool visual take.
Yep.
Otherwise, I like when you see Nightwing.
Yeah, obviously the introduction to Nightwing, and like that was one, again, I didn't realize that that's the book that I was picking, but when I did, I was like, yes, we're gonna see Deep V Nightwing. Like that was
people may make fun of that costume, but I like it.
No, I'm not even.
No, I know you don't make fun of it, but I mean, in terms of the Nightwing costumes, when you look at a lineup, a lot of people make fun of the Deep V, but I mean, it's also older, and it's a really good like take, given that it's older. Yeah. And where he gets his inspiration is really heartwarming.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. That's something I didn't know that Superman was ever called Nightwing.
Okay, I did, but it's because I've read the Nightwing origin story when he talks to where he gets his name. So like there's a Robin standalone where he talks to Superman and he's having like a heart-to-heart with Superman, and Superman tells him the story of Nightwing.
Interesting. That's cool. Yeah. I didn't know that. And obviously I knew the relation to Batman.
And I mean, the costume relation was with his parents.
Yes.
Which was not mentioned in this.
No, it wasn't.
Which I was kind of upset about.
But they did show...
They showed his parents.
A panel with his parents.
I know, but I was like...
But yeah. Definite Flying Grayson vibes. And then any time that you have seen Dick's parents in a... like a movie adaptation, they are usually in this costume.
Mm-hmm. And even in comic book adaptations, they have the same color scheme as this costume. Yeah. It might just be like toned down without the collar and things like that for a more modern audience. But But I mean, it does very much allude. And he is a circus boy. So I mean, like, he even had like a more circusy take on his Robin costume. And now you have this. So I think it's 100% justified.
Yeah, absolutely. And
a great growth. And I love his mask. It's probably one of my favorite masks of his.
Understandable. Something I found weird about the movie is they did so like in every iteration of Nightwing, he's had like the blue, except for New 52, where it was red.
Didn't like the red.
Red is my favorite color, so I liked the red.
Blue is my favorite color.
But they did that. They did the red in the Judas Contract movie too.
Judas Contract movie is not the same. I'm
Hello, exposure. Yeah, no, the Judas Contract movie is not the same as this. They didn't even have Jericho in it.
I've never seen Jericho until this. So, I mean, like, I believe that he wasn't in it, but I'm a little bummed that I haven't seen him in anything. So, I'd really like a movie with him in there, especially since, like, sign language is becoming integrated into movie and TV show culture more and more, that having him as an animated superhero is awesome. That's true. Not having him in an animated DC movie, it would be super cool. And probably do really, really well.
Yeah.
You picked 2 comics this month that have sign language in it.
I did.
Did you realize that?
No.
Okay.
I didn't know that Jericho was in this.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know Jericho was in this until the forward. And then I kept reading through. I'm like, when are they introducing Jericho?
I didn't know who the hell Jericho was. So I read that and I go, okay. My head goes to the TV show. So
yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, he was an interesting character, and I think it's just even more interesting that he is Deathstroke's son.
Yeah.
Like really cool origin for Jericho. And his mom do be kind of hot though.
Okay.
You know, as far as comic book moms go.
You know, the flashback when she was younger, I was like, wow, is that the same lady? And then, you know, you get the little birthmark. Beauty mark. Sorry.
And yeah, 20 years of age.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think one of my favorite things about the art of the old comics are the costumes. Like, so and again, I will agree that I think modern comics take a lot more risks with art. These comics, I feel like if they were made for a modern, like these comics art wise, the costumes seem to take more risks than the rest of the art.
I will agree with that. I do like the newer ones in the terms of like they're kind of more high fashion elements, especially with like that new Raven one and things like that I really, really enjoy. Because I mean, I still hate Starfire's costume and Cyborg's.
In this?
Yeah. Everyone else, I'm like, yeah, okay, like whatever. And I've always though disliked Starfire's just because there's no reason to show. And I am not like a prude by any like means. I don't care. It's just more so one of those things where I'm like, you're literally just doing it. It's an older comic, and you're like, it's awesome to do it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I like her New 52 with the cutouts.
They use this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for her in New 52, where her costume is like pretty tame.
Yeah.
But anytime she's not in her costume.
Yeah.
In New 52.
Again, I'm not like Emma Frost's costumes and stuff like that really don't bother me. This one defies gravity.
She's from another planet.
I don't care. You're still on Earth with gravity. So it would still affect you if you're on this planet.
Her powers.
Anyway.
Part of her power abilities is boobepathy.
Gotcha.
The power to move boobs with your mind. Just hers, actually, apparently. Prehensile boobs.
My problem's not with her boobs. It's with her clothing staying over them.
Yeah, but that's how.
Okay.
I just...
I hope others are listening or watching this and also rolling their eyes like me, but it's okay.
If you're listening to this, you can't see the eye roll. But, I mean, she might need to go to an eye doctor with detached retinas and everything. But yeah, I agree. I think Cyborg's the one that looks the most ridiculous, though.
Right?
Like, absolutely.
Because there's no like, at least with Starfire, you look at it and you're like, okay, a man drew it, and it's in the 80s, and she's an alien, and they made her with like this great body. Not that, Cyborg doesn't have a great man bod, but like
yeah, I mean, they draw him with a pretty great bod, but man,
they exposed the thighs. They kept them thighs.
You know why?
I said it was because Robin exposed so much leg that he got jelly.
No. It's because thick thighs save lives.
I want to laugh, but I refuse to give you that.
But you want to. See, and like, I don't think I like truly realized that she was 16. I thought maybe she's like
pretending to
be a 16
when you have her smoking
really
with
small.
the heavy makeup and everything.
I was like, oh my god, she is actually 16. Like, could we not do that? God, and this costume
is insane.
I
mean, I like it, but when they said Brother Blood and he came out like that,
look like, at all this
that is wrong.
spit and like coming out of his mouth, and that's how you know it's fanatical. I thought this whole, as far as scenes go, I really liked the creepiness of all of
me too.
This.
I liked the bodies up there being crushed and like juiced.
I loved the hands coming out. I thought that just looked like it looked epic and creepy, and like even being so bright that it is, I could feel I felt that this was dark.
Oh yeah.
And the goo. Like it was really.
Can you imagine the smell in that chamber if that's a big pool of blood?
Oh God, I really don't want to imagine the smell of that chamber if it's really a big pool of blood. I really don't.
I'm sorry. Okay.
But
it was a good pick.
Thanks. Shall we talk about ratings?
Yeah.
Story.
You go first?
Yeah. I really enjoyed the story. I thought the story was risky for any time period. And it felt like, even though I was coming in at the end of Tara's time as a Teen Titan, I still felt like I was able to really understand like her relationship with the Titans. So I thought they did a really good job at portraying that, even in just a single arc.
Yeah.
Like bringing it back without just putting a bunch of annotations of see New Teen Titans issue number 587.
I will say, if I had read this from the beginning, probably would have cried in this one. I did not cry in this one. Pat me on the back.
I think like I'm giving time period. I'm taking time period into account.
Yeah.
And I do think I'm trying to think of like if there's any like really bad marks that I'd give it. I feel like they spent enough time. It was a well-paced story. Which for comics can be really difficult because you have to cram something into 24 pages.
And I mean, this one relied heavily on a narrative, which you don't see a lot of.
It's true. And this is one of the first times where I've read a comic book where I was okay seeing walls of text.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't walls of text that just take over like the art itself.
Mm-hmm.
It was, they would have walls of text like, oh gosh, somewhere around this area. But like the boxes would be above, like not obscuring art or anything like that. I will say, like, there was a lot going on, and it was wordy. But I think I would still give the story a 9 out of 10 for me.
Understandable.
I enjoyed it for being like the first. Like I've read newer Teen Titans. This is the first like older set of Teen Titans books that I've read, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
So I agree with everything that you said. I will say, like, just as like a precursor, if I had read more prior to this, I probably would have emoted more, which is not, I feel really good that I didn't cry because I'm like a huge crybaby. So, I mean, that's nothing against this book. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I'm probably going to rate it very, very similarly. This book also does a really good job of keeping me interested in how the story continues, especially with how Beast Boy reacted.
Mm-hmm.
With Jericho being integrated into the team, especially after their newest team member turned on them. Like how the dynamic, and this
one's literally a
relative,
the offspring of a villain.
Yeah, of the same villain.
Yeah.
So I am thoroughly interested into seeing like how that team dynamic goes, especially in the beginning. I really enjoyed all of the backstory. Really enjoyed Dick Grayson's character. Yeah, so I mean, I think I would give it, also keeping into account that it's older, so I mean, like, I'm not gonna mark it down for any of the comments. I was like, oh my god, are you kidding me? type of things. So I honestly think that I'd probably give it a 10 story-wise.
Okay.
It was a good beginning into the Titans. I mean, you don't feel lost. There are some moments where it alludes to previous comics, but not in such a way that you are confused by anything, just in more of a way that you're interested to maybe read from the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think that the most important thing, especially with like an older comic, is to keep interest in moving forward, and it does that.
It did very well.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, that's me keeping in mind that it's older.
That brings us into art.
Which I get to start out with.
Yep.
So, again, keeping in mind that it's older, I'm not going to rate it like super, super high, just because my standards for art is I like seeing something different. And even though it's not as common back then to see something different, it does happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, I do really love block printing feel. I really enjoyed the display of the electricity. I liked how they did the overall display of powers.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was cool.
I thought it was well done. Expressions were well done, which is a huge thing for you, I know.
Yeah. But I feel like expressions back then were more consistent. Because they did, the art style was pretty similar.
And it moved very much, very narrative like you were watching a movie unfold, with like the close-ups and the different angles and things like that. So I'll probably give the art, I want to give it an 8 for the time period.
Okay.
I personally would probably lean more towards a 7.
Okay. 7.
That's personal preference.
Yeah.
That's more so weighing it down.
Uh-huh. I agree with most of what you said. I do think I'm going to lean more towards giving it that 8. Just because I mean it's what I expected to see.
I mean, some comics from back then are hard to read because I hate the art so much.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is very
good for some older comics as far as like I feel like a newer person coming in and picking it up, it's not going to be as like whoa for them. It does look like a comic that was meant to be printed on paper.
It does.
Like newspaper paper.
Yeah. With the dots that are like, and how they drew the teardrops. You were like, oh my God, it kind of reminds me of all of those old comic book styles brought into like stage makeup and things like that. When they do those, I was like, that's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
In a couple of those panels.
And I think what it did for the time period, it did very well. So I'm happy with it, and that's why I'm giving it an 8. And then do I do the overall first?
You do usually.
Okay.
I can if you want to, but
I wasn't sure if we did it like I do it when they're my books and you do it when they're your books. I don't know how we do this show anymore, guys.
I think we really just go back and forth.
Okay. Overall, I would give the book a 9 still. For me, the story still carries it so heavily that it is such a good story. Like, there could be no art. It could just be a book, and I'd go back and read it again.
That comes up so many times when I really like a story. I'm like, okay, now I want a novelization of it and a movie, maybe a TV show too.
Well, they did a movie, and it was not great.
Not the same thing though.
Nope.
Said.
But I think the art augments the already strong story.
Yeah.
And I think it hits the beats that it's meant to hit. Again, pacing is it's good. I never felt at any point that it was slow.
No, and you always are interested in every single one of the characters. There wasn't a moment where I came across a panel and it was like, dear God, I have to hear from them.
Yeah. Exactly. And that is something that happens a lot in things like Avengers, Justice League, Teen Titans, X-Men, like all of these, big teams. They all have those characters that you're like, I could really care less. And there was never a point where it was like, I'm just going to go ahead and skip through this part.
No, yeah. I agree. I would also give it a 9.
Okay.
Because the story does great. The art is great for the time period. Nothing hindered it for me. Everything carried the characters, it carried the storyline, made me interested to continue reading or to backlog.
I want a backlog. I want to see
Tara unfold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see her introduction.
I also,
especially with the terrorists and how quickly Beast Boy seems to be, or sounds to be connected with her, which is also interesting because like none of the other X-Men, none of the other Titans seem to have realized how close he had felt to her. Which I would also like to see that unfold from his perspective.
Mm-hmm.
He's also one of my favorite characters in the Titans.
He's definitely an interesting character. I almost would. There are comics, so you know how like they remake movies and they remake like TV shows all the time. Can they remake a comic arc
with just new art?
I mean, I'd be willing to see it with some of the newer characters as well, or there needs to be like an anniversary where it's like all these like really good classic stories get like revamped.
It would be interesting though seeing a new story arc where it's with I know Damian's no longer in the Titans, but where Damian is in the Titans and they introduce a new character and it's just a series of flashbacks to this.
We're in Rebirth too, so technically Tara could be alive again.
Yeah, but I mean just seeing flashbacks of this moment with the original Titans, even in
Yeah.
Titans Academy,
Mm-hmm.
because that's going to resonate more with all of the original Titan characters
Yes.
as the professors, where they're like seeing everything unravel again and it hits them more. That could also be a really cool anniversary comic.
That could be.
To allude to the Judas contract.
I really enjoyed this. I really, really enjoyed this.
I'm hoping for a strong month, you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we've started
Good
the month
start.
strong already. Yeah. We had a double 10 and now a double 9.
Mm-hmm. Winning by 1 point.
You're winning by 2 points.
Well, 1 point on either side,
Yeah.
but yeah, so 2 points. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, I've been happy with it.
I also am interested, just because you're like on this panel, I'm like, I also don't know this character. The rich guy? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't either. But
I was a rich man.
that brings us to an end of another issue.
Yep.
Next week we are reading Anna's pick
for The Independent, which is Rat Queens, Volume 1.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to read that one too.
Yeah.
Just to get some D&D style reading in. At least
it looks cool, and
I really hope it doesn't let me.
I know.
I keep like talking it up as like, oh yes, D&D. It might not be anything like that, and then I'm gonna be like, oh, now I have to objectively sit here and and rethink about like all of this.
I'm hoping that it's as good as it sounds. I liked the what it sounded like when I read the synopsis. I first got interested in it when we went to some of the comic book stores when I first got here. I saw the cover art. Yes, I do.
You judged a book by its cover.
I didn't though. The title sounded super weird, so I grabbed it mostly because I was really curious about what the heck Rat Queens were, because I thought it was like going to be a sewer hero thing, and I picked it up and it was not at all that. So I looked into it more, and so I'm excited to read it.
Good. I am too. And then the week after that, next week is going to be early.
Yeah, because I'm going out of town for a little bit.
Probably do that Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
We'll post it on social media so that that people know. The YouTube version will probably still come out on the normal Thursday. Maybe it'll come out on Wednesday. Who knows? Okay. But I'll tell you. Best way to know is to follow me on social media at It's Ben Pie, pretty much anywhere. Twitter, Instagram, all of that. Subscribe on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube right now. I guess I need to remind people to do that because I don't remind people to do that. And you could also follow Anna on her various social medias to figure out when it gets posted.
And I have 2 accounts, but the one that I post most of the Sibling Rival-Read updates is my Instagram account that is Anna_Riddick. I also have a art account, which is @Riddick_designs, or a Twitter feed that I don't really know how to use, and that is also @Riddick Designs, but there is no underscore because he made fun of me.
Good. It's true. So, guys, until next week,
Shalom-Aste! Well, that was like a really beautiful little...
It was.